Story time, story time, story time again. Story time, story time, story time again.
Hi, I'm so glad to see you. Welcome to Once Upon a Time, the cable story time of the San Bruno Library. My name is Miss Barbara, and I'm so glad to be sharing this time with you. I'm going to be reading and talking about the moon today, and I have some fun things to share with you. The very first thing I wanted to show you was a picture that my son took right here in San Bruno during the lunar eclipse a few months ago. And you can see the shapes in the moon and the red color that the moon had when it was in the Earth's shadow during the lunar eclipse. So that was taken right here in San Bruno. I really encourage you to take your binoculars or your cameras outside when the moon is full and take a look and see if you can get some nice pictures as well. And just to remind us about what the moon looks like, there's a really good picture of the moon. And the moon changes over time, doesn't it? So this is a picture of, this is a lot of different pictures taken over 28 days, the entire cycle of the moon. So from the crescent all the way to full and back to the crescent. Cool, huh? So let's go to the moon. Climb aboard the spaceship, we're going to the moon. Hurry and get ready, we're going to blast off soon. Put on your helmets and buckle up real tight. Here comes the countdown, let's count with all our might. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Blast off, let's go! Our first story today is a folk tale about the moon. It's called Anansi the Spider. Maybe you've read some Anansi stories before, or maybe you've seen Miss Susan and Miss Rocky and I do a Anansi skit at your school. Sometimes we do that. So Anansi is a trickster, and there's lots of stories about him told by the Ashanti people in Africa, in the country of Ghana, in the continent of Africa. Anansi. He is spider to the Ashanti people. In Ashanti land, people love this story of Kwaku Anansi. Time was, Anansi had 6 sons. First son was called See Trouble. He had the gift of seeing trouble a long way off. Second son was Road Builder. Thirsty son was River Drinker. Next son was Game Skinner. Another son was Stone Thrower. And the last of the sons was Cushion. He was very soft. All were good sons of Anansi. One time, Anansi went a long way from home, far from home. He got lost. He fell into trouble. Into the water and into the fish. Back home was son See Trouble. Father is in danger, he cried. He knew it quickly, and he told those other sons. Road Builder's son said, "Follow me." Off he went, making a road. They went fast, those 6 brothers, gone to help Anansi. Where is Father now? Fish has swallowed him. Anansi is inside fish. River Drinker took a big drink. No more river. Then game Skinner helped Father Ananse. He split open the fish. More trouble came right then. Whoosh. It was Falcon. He took Ananse up in the sky. Quick! Now! Stone thrower! The stone hit Falcon. Ananse fell through the sky. Now Cushion ran to help Father. Very soft, Ananse came down. They were very happy, that spider family. At home again, that night, Kwaku Ananse found a thing in the forest. What is this? A great globe of light. Oh, mysterious and beautiful. I shall give this to my son, said Ananse, to the son who rescued me. But which son of 6? Which deserves the prize? Nyame, can you help me? Oh, Nyame, called Ananse. For Ashanti people, Nyame is the god of all things. Ananse asked this of Nyame, please hold the beautiful globe of light until I know which son should have it for his own. And so they had to decide which son deserved the prize. They tried, but they could not decide. They argued all night. Nyame saw this. The god of all things, he took the beautiful white light up into the sky. He keeps it there for all to see. It is still there. It will always be there. It is there tonight. The end. And you know what happens with the moon? The moon goes around and around the earth all the time. It's orbiting the earth, going around and around. And the earth goes around the sun. So let's talk about that together. The moon goes around the earth. The moon goes around the earth. Hi-ho, the merry-o, the moon goes round the earth. The earth goes round the sun. The earth goes round the sun. Hi-ho, the merry-o, the earth goes round the sun. I have another story about the moon and a dreamy snail. This book is called Clementine by Sebastian Loff. And there's our little orange snail. Do you know what a clementine is? A clementine is a tangerine. And here's Clementine the snail and the tangerines, the clementines. Every evening, a little snail sat on her favorite branch in the old clementine tree and stretched out her feelers into the warm breeze. The low autumn sun dipped everything in golden light, and her small shell started to glow as orange as the ripe fruit beneath her, so the little snail was called Clementine. Like many small snails, Clementine, being round herself, loved everything round. Billiards, dartboard, balloons, ball of yarn, beads. Even old car tires looked gorgeous to Clementine. Her heart leapt with joy just to glide in a circle around and around and around. Clementine was a happy little snail, but sometimes, on quiet nights when the bright, round moon moved softly through the sky, she couldn't sleep. So big, she thought, so beautiful, so round. Clementine longed to glide gently over the surface of as the moon carried her tenderly around and around and around, and so she made a daring decision. I'm going to fly to the moon, she whispered. Clementine told her best friend Paul about her decision, and they got to work the very next evening. Together they planned, they plotted, they calculated, they diagrammed, Clementine was especially fond of Paul's compass. It let her draw such perfect circles. "Yes, this could work," exclaimed Paul. They sawed and hammered far into the night. Their first attempt was a trampoline they built themselves, but after her third jump, Clementine felt queasy and one of her feelers was bent. "Let's try something else," she said. So, they built something else. But the slingshot only hurled Clementine into the bushes. Psh! And so, to make matters worse, it started to rain. Paul, however, found the rain inspirational. As always when it rained, he had a brilliant idea. A rocket. At the moment of takeoff, Clementine closed her eyes. She was actually a little scared. But she was excited too, and suddenly there she was, rocketing into the night sky, higher and higher and higher. And then her flight seemed to slow down. It was as if she was floating weightlessly through space. Cautiously, Clementine opened her eyes and beheld an amazing sight. The world! "The world is round!" she exclaimed just before she headed back to Earth. Luckily, Clementine landed squarely in the village pond. Splash! Without getting hurt at all. A bit of water got inside her shell, but it only gave her a little cold. 6 weeks later, she finally made it home. Hooray! Clementine is home! Paul was there to greet her. Clementine was excited to tell him and everyone about her amazing adventures. That night, Clementine slept happily in the bright, silvery moonlight, dreaming of her great discovery that this beautiful planet she lived on was round, as the world carried her tenderly around and around and around. That's the story of Clementine. And how did that go? The moon goes round the earth, the moon goes round the earth. Hi-ho, the merry-o, the moon goes round the earth goes round the sun, the earth goes round the sun. Hi-ho, the merry-o, the earth goes round the sun. So you can see we have so many stories at the library about the moon, and we also have true books about the moon. I'm going to show you this page from this true book. This is The Moon Book by Gail Gibbons. It's one of the many fact books we have about the moon. And this one shows pictures of the phases of the moon. And it also shows the words that go with those phases of the moon. So we have the gibbous moon. Isn't that a funny word? And the full moon. And the gibbous moon. It looks a little bit different. This is a waning gibbous moon. That means the moon's getting smaller night by night. The lighted part is getting smaller. Here's the last quarter, the crescent moon, and the new moon. And maybe you want to come to the library and check this book out, and you can look more closely at these diagrams here that show what the position is of the moon and the earth and the sun that makes these shapes in the sky. So don't go away. I have a lot more story to tell you. I have a really good one to tell you about the moon, a folk tale about the moon. We'll see you in a few minutes.
got quite a few good channels on it, and we enjoy watching all the different kind of movies and what you guys have.
It's local. When I need help, I actually talk with people.
They said we'd be out in a day or so, and they were there.
We call them up, and somebody comes out to the house and takes care of our issues right away.
No contract you have to sign. Keep up the good work.
Thank you for choosing San Bruno Cable.
So, same time next week?
Well, of course. Put away a few bucks, feel like $1 million. For free tips to help you save, go to Feed the Pig.
Hi, welcome back. I am back with more moon stories from the San Bruno Library for you. Our next one is called Moon Over the Mountain, Luna sobre la montaña. And this is by Keith Pollett. It's based actually on an Asian folk tale. And it uses words in Spanish and in English. It's written in English and it has some Spanish in it. So listen carefully. Egipto was a poor stonecutter. Day after day, he cut out stones for large houses and churches. Many casas grandes, large houses, and iglesias, churches, were built with these piedras. Cutting stones was hard work, so Egipto longed for an easier life. But he thought his vida was set in stone. Every day, Egipto trudged up the great mountain with his hammer and chisel. He chipped, shaped, hacked, and hewed the piedras, the rocks. Then he brought the stones back to his small shop to sell. His mercadito was at the base of La Gran Montaña. There's his little store and the great mountain. One hot afternoon, Egipto was dragging a sled of piedras to his mercadito. As he wiped his face, he saw the carriage of a rich merchant. Inside the coche, the comerciante rico, the rich merchant, was dressed in fine silk. Gold rings sparkled on his hands. El comerciante rico ate sweet fruit that Egipto had never seen or tasted. Oh, how I wish I was a comerciante rico, Egipto cried. Egipto finally reached his mercadito with the heavy load of piedras. Weary and worn, Egipto went to bed early. That night, the spirit of the desert granted Egipto's wish. When he woke up the next day, Egipto was amazed to discover that he was a comerciante rico, a rich merchant. Here's his store, Mercado de Egipto, Egipto's store. A huge market stood in place of his mercadito. The Mercado Grande had hundreds of different shops. Many of these tiendas were filled with wonderful fruits and vegetables. Egipto now had a mountain of money. He owned enough clothes to outfit an army. His gold jewelry could fill a deep well. Egipto was happy. Now I am contento, he thought. Now I'm happy. Egipto walked through his Mercado Grande as the sun blazed in the blue sky. Beneath the scorching heat of El Sol, the sweet fruits and crisp vegetables in his tiendas wilted. The hand-painted fabrics faded. People fainted from the heat. Egipto saw the strength of El Sol and said, "How I wish I was El Sol." As Egipto slept that night, the spirit of the desert once again granted his wish. When he woke the next morning, Egipto was El Sol. He laughed with fire and hurled handfuls of heat across the land. The ground cracked and the crops withered. The rivers and streams ran dry. Egipto was contento. But one day, the wind began to blow. It started like a soft whisper. Then el viento, the wind, grew stronger. Its mighty blast blew great clouds of dust from the parched land. Now a raging dust storm, el viento, blotted out el sol. The skies turned dark even though it was only noon. Egipto saw the force of el viento and said, "Oh, how I wish I was el viento." As Egipto slept that night, the spirit of the desert granted his wish once again. When the next day dawned, Egipto was el viento, the wind. He roared with delight and howled across the land. With his dust-filled gusts, Egipto sent coches, carriages, and wagons tumbling. He blew down the casas that were not made of stone. Egipto was contento until he saw that La Gran Montaña stood firm. The mountain did not move. El Viento unleashed a furious blast of wind against La Gran Montaña, but it did not budge. Egipto saw the power of the mountain and said, "How I wish I was La Gran Montaña." As Egipto slept that night, the spirit of the desert again granted his wish. The next day, Egipto was La Gran Montaña. Egipto was now stronger than the Comerciante Rico, more powerful than El Sol, and mightier than El Viento. He proudly towered over the land. Egipto was muy contento. Early one morning, Egipto woke to the sound of a hammer and a chisel. A poor stone cutter was hacking and hewing the piedras at the base of La Gran Montaña. Egipto shuddered and made one final wish. The spirit of the desert granted it. When Egipto opened his eyes the next day, he was a coyote. His fur coat was silkier than the fancy clothes of the Comerciante Rico. The eyes of El Coyote flashed with the fire of El Sol. His spirit was stronger than La Gran Montaña. His vida, his life, was no longer set in stone. El Coyote howled like El Viento that night, like the wind. As La Luna rose over the mountains, El Coyote disappeared into the sands of the desert. He was muy contento. Living underneath the moon. I have another story. Emily's Balloon by Komako Sakai. I wonder how the moon is going to appear in this book. One afternoon, Emily got a balloon. There's someone letting go of their balloon. Oops! And what did they do? The balloon was tied to her finger, just to keep it safe. There you go, Emily. And then it came home with her. Let's take that balloon off your finger. Whee! There it goes. Uh-oh. Stuck on the ceiling. Here you go. There's your balloon. Again, again. Again, again. Emily's mother tied the string in a loop and put the loop around Emily's spoon. Look! It floats, but it doesn't fly away. Emily and the balloon went into the yard. They picked flowers. Emily made a beautiful crown for the balloon and one for herself. They played house. Then, whoosh, went the wind. The balloon, Emily's balloon. There in the tree. It's stuck, Emily. I can't get it down. I'm sorry. Emily missed the balloon. Dinner didn't taste good without it. We wanted to eat together. Then we would put on our pajamas and brush our teeth and go to sleep. Tomorrow I'll borrow a ladder and get it down. Really? Really? Really and truly? Really and truly. Good night, honey. But Emily couldn't stop thinking about the balloon. Was it still there? She looked. There it was, nestled in the tree. It looked just like the, what do you think? The moon. Good night. I have one more rhyme to share with you. It goes like this. We make the moon with our fingers. The man in the moon looked out of the moon, and said, "It's time for all the children on earth to think about going to bed." That's what I have for you today. So good to be with you. I hope you come and visit us at the library and get some stories and some fact books about the moon. And maybe you want to join us for pajama story time, and we'll do some more moon rhymes together. See you soon. Goodbye.
So sit me down and let the spell begin. I'll find myself in story time again. Story time, story